Welcome everybody, I'm 6am Comics, and this is reviewing my 9-year-old's comics. It's been a hectic week, and I didn't really have time to sit down and do the whole get in front of a camera and film thing, so this week's review will be a little different. Apologies, I know YouTube likes its consistency, but I don't think the algorithm really notices me anyway. In any case, it's been a minute since we've reviewed a spectacular Black Widow issue, and as of this moment, there's only one left to go over. So let's go over it, shall we? May I present to you Spectacular Black Widow number 5, Sinister, Part 1. An interesting thing about this particular issue is that even though it's currently the latest release in the series, it actually takes place before issues 3 and 4, making Spectacular Black Widow number 4 the final issue, chronologically speaking. If you watched my review of issue 4, you already know that I have my suspicions as to why there most likely won't be any further stories in the spectacular timeline following the events of that book. It's a trip, you should check it out. That being said, it was almost necessary to establish this prequel story as it provides a much needed backstory into the Black Widow's history with the newly introduced Blue Jay. If we recall, Blue Jay made his debut appearance in the previous issue, arriving just in time to save Black Widow from certain doom at the hands of Frank F. Frank. It was a jarring first appearance, having a random character intervene at the last minute with a magic crystal that was never previously established. But a follow-up prequel series would easily tie it all together nicely if handled properly. Now, as for the overall appearance, this issue is one of only 3 Black Widow comic books presented in full color. The other 2 being Black Widow number 4 and 5. No, 6 doesn't count. It was drawn on multicolored construction paper. I know we haven't really reviewed any of these yet, but consider it a sneak peek. The art style utilized throughout this book is a unique blend of the realism seen throughout the Spectacular line and the simplicity found in the original series. Combined with the use of color, this is easily one of the most dynamic and visually appealing comics in the worldwide archive. But how does the story compare with the appeal of the artwork? Let's have a read and find out. As with all stories, this comic starts as a dark and stormy night. We go back 5 years to find a ridiculously swole individual donning a blue suit and mask, standing casually in the pouring rain. Blue Jay. He jumps down from his perch atop a brick building, using the blades protruding from his arm to dig into the building's walls and slow his momentum on the way down. Below him, a young man walks in the rain holding an umbrella. He's startled by the sudden appearance of this large man, who lands on top of the umbrella, snapping it in half. The young man runs off, seemingly frightened by the experience. Blue Jay taunts, "People should call Earth Chicken Island, sick burn." However, we find that this young man was not running. He was finding a hidden place to shed his pedestrian clothes and don the costume of the Black Widow. He leaps into action, showing off some sweet acrobatics, and lands on Blue Jay's shoulders. However, despite the element of surprise, Blue Jay doesn't even flinch and promptly swings his bladed arm at our title hero, slicing his outfit. Despite the swiftness of our Crimson hero, Blue Jay manages to land a punch on the chin of the Black Widow, sending him flying far away. Blue Jay again taunts, "Like a bulldozer against an ant." Still in the process of unwillingly flying through the sky, our protagonist uses his grappling hook, a handy utility unseen since Black Widow's once lost debut issue, to grab onto a nearby lamppost. With the rope in hand, Black Widow grabs another rope attached to a nearby billboard for lipstick, which he jokes about buying for his brother, the Molder of Doom. The sick burns are in abundance this issue. Now stretching between the 2 ropes, Black Widow uses them both to launch himself like a slingshot back towards Blue Jay. Blue Jay, however, sees this coming from a mile away and catches the flying assailant in midair, only to discover that this was a decoy, a stuffed figure of our hero. The real Black Widow, however, uses this distraction to sneak up on Blue Jay and sucker punch him in the back of the head. "I got a question for you." As the 2 vigilantes continue to battle each other, Maxwell yells out, "Blue!" We note the following panel that Blue is actually Blue Jay's real name. Maxwell continues dodging Blue Jay's attacks. "Do you remember your high school friend Maxwell?" Blue Jay is stunned by these words and removes his mask to get a better glimpse at who he's actually fighting. Maxwell? At the mention of his name, Black Widow removes his mask to reveal to Blue Jay that he is in fact his old friend Maxwell from high school. We then cut to a strange green lizard with a disturbingly humanoid face. "Well, well, well, you 2 muscle mutts are friends again, hmm?" A voice from off-panel interjects that the name Muscle Mutt is more of a compliment than an insult. Silence! We zoom in on the Dino's face. We're gonna have a good time. To be continued. In the bizarre twist of fate, the issue that was intended to answer lingering questions about the spectacular Black Widow timeline instead leaves us with even more questions. Who is this mysterious green dinosaur man, and what are his intentions? How does Maxwell know the identity of Blue Jay? Where do Black Widow and Blue Jay go from this moment on? Do they go their separate ways, or does the intervention of the dinosaur man lead them down a path towards the magical crystal from issue 4? Now, I wouldn't rule out a 6th issue being created. After all, countless times Nolan has seemingly abandoned a series, only to pick it up later with a newfound inspiration. Super Nolan 3 being the most well-known example, though there are others. As for the newly introduced Blue Jay, he did eventually receive his own solo series following the completion of Worldwide War, though it remains unclear if that series exists in the Spectacular timeline or the original timeline. The more serious tone and realistic style of the series implies a connection to the Spectacular comics, but it's not entirely out of the ordinary for these kinds of visuals to appear in the original timeline. Either way, the Blue Jay comics have yet to share a connection to any previously existing storyline, so we remain in the dark. But ignoring the cliffhanger, let's take a moment to appreciate the brilliance of this comic's production. The Spectacular comics have always boasted some impressive visuals with simple blacks and whites, but the introduction of color to those pen strokes is nothing short of breathtaking. In addition, the simplicity of the story gives Nolan room to further flesh out the characteristics of our two dueling heroes. We see the blunt and violent nature of Blue Jay shine through as he refuses to pull a single punch, all the while muttering ill-intentioned insults at his prey. In contrast to this, Black Widow's acrobatics and tactical prowess are on full display, as he seemingly can't match the utter strength of his opponent, despite being superpowered himself, and thus he relies on trickery, decoys, and the element of surprise. In the end, rather than win the fight, he chooses to dismantle his aggressor by revealing his identity and appealing to Blue Jay's humanity in the process. Masterful storytelling. Masterful art. It will be very interesting to see where this tale goes should Nolan continue the saga. And thus concludes the final issue of the Spectacular Black Widow series. Following this comic, Nolan returned to the original series and has been trucking along ever since with at least 8 new releases. But I'm holding out hope that someday we'll get our epic conclusion to the Spectacular Black Widow, Sinister. In any case, I give this a rating of a down payment of 5 stars, and will award it 5 additional stars upon its completion. That's how you do business, y'all. I'm out.